My name is Karen White, and I'm very honored to be coming to you from the territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples. I'm very honored to make this my home. My grandfather on my father's side was Northern Salish, and my grandmother was Tuscarora. And on my mother's side, her father was Chippewa and her mother was Scots. This piece is a dedication to the children that lost their lives by trying to swim off Vancouver Island, where the residential school was located. When babies sing underwater, do they call the whales? The cooing would be heard over long distances by mammal ears, especially mothers. The pod would be drawn by the notes, emitted by brand new and tiny lungs that have only known water, and that still remember that water is sacred. Babies and whales flashing amongst kelp forests. Whales carry ancient knowledge, and like land whales, elephants do not, cannot forget. Maybe the songs of orcas are the songs of babies. Before they grew dorsals, formed blowholes, learned to breach. Maybe these are honor songs for those who live below the waves, swim with this new family, who sing to remember what we cannot. Sometimes a mother's memory is like fire, the only flame that can burn below the sun-rippled surface. So this is a two-part piece. I wrote a book that has not yet been published, writing what I call coyote poetry. So what I've done is, this is a two-piece poem. The first part is called Airport Shuttle to Banff. And the second part is an Indian that takes back Banff from the Banff Shuttle. So what coyote poetry is a genre that I invented and nobody else is allowed to use because for cultural reasons. So for us, coyotes or ravens speak the truth and sometimes are very blunt and not particularly polite. So this is part one, Airport Shuttle to Banff. You know you're in the Calgary airport by the geriatric Dale Evans cowgirl greeter in a white cowboy hat. The land all around, runway flat, skyscraper forest in the distance, and the foreground houses. As far as the eye can see, shrunken trees as if the houses have sucked all the nutrients from the soil to grow, leaving trees sparse, runted. Oil pumps here and there beside the highway, sleepers I'm told, as they stand alone. Eyes drawn to the big sky, endless cloud. If I lived here, I'd have a sore neck from looking up. From the bus, there is prairie, lands slowly rise into hills, then climb and climb to mountains. I am part of the prairie and the sky, foothills and mountains. But which is more enchanting, the sky or the mountains? But the two meet like lovers, cause me to want to learn. A boulder sitting alone, born of those mountains, carried and dropped by ice. Dead Man's Flats, the sign says, and I wonder, how come those places are always named for dead men and not women? Bottle brushes for trees, mountains here where veils of mist, a huddle of shy Muslim ladies, well-worn game trails alongside the highway. On wire fences, plastic bags hang, flit, and flutter like prayer flags. Chiniki, the land untouched, all wilderness. Forest climbs the foothills, and finally mountains in the far. All I want to see is the mountains and the sky. Sun finger paints the peaks aglow, reveal crag and cranny of rock, mountains in a round dance, circle. On the horizon, I wish that once I could see, feel, smell, and hear the wild prairie, which I imagine to be as powerful as the sea the first time you come to it. I want to paint the coupling of the mountains and sky. Now here and there cattle dots the land. I am the geriatric cowgirl here. Now wild forest with a river rushing through. The Rockies in the far snow-smothered, reaches up the sides of the mountains until near the peak it is stone-shaped and carved by ancient ice. Stony Nakota Casino in the middle of this wild land. Casinos are us Indians' revenge. We'll take back some of what you've stolen. While you are lulled by noise and lights, the elusive promise of winning. We swing dance onto Banff Avenue. We're in the 1940s, a ski town. It could be anywhere, but it's Banff. And unceded lands, and I know it because it smells like money. Part 2, the coyote speaks. An Indian that takes back Banff from the Banff Shuttle. You know it's Cowtown when you leave WestJet. See an old and haggard Betty Davis, carny horrific like she was in Whatever Happened to Sweet Baby Jane. And she's the cowgirl airport greeter. Buildings as subtle as horrors stand off in the distance, illegitimate children of the prairie, vampire houses who suck the blood of trees, leaving them as bony as a street kid. Nearer, houses as far as your blind eyes can see. Rich oil barons pump their hips, dry hump the land for oil. Prairie, foothills, and mountains pimp your senses, scenic erotica. But which is sexiest, the sky or the mountains? They have rough sex, make me want to shoot a porn. The foothills are LA waiters waiting for their big break to become star attractions. Stony Nakota Casino appears like a landed spacecraft. Indians' revenge will rob you legally, take back some of what you stole, stone you with noise and lights. Bus swing dances hard, 2 steps down Banff Avenue and on to stolen Indian lands, and I know it by the stench of laundered money. This is called Avalanche Warning, and it's dedicated to the murdered and missing Indigenous women across North America and in fact the world, and especially Tina Fontaine, the young woman, very young woman, who unfortunately had her life taken from her. Every so often in this deep snow woods stillness, I hear the distant boomf of an avalanche trigger, explosion, the exact sound inside my head when I heard you set him free. Before I am done crying my words out and my tears freeze before they hit the ground, no snowslide hazard mitigation measure now. Tina Fontaine, 72 pounds, did that include the river water? Why was this the one time the experts could not determine the cause of death? Our frozen tears are the snow that will engulf, smother, overtake and envelop all of us. There will be no trace or sign, no tracks, just a frigid flurry wave of our grief, all of us somewhere lost in its depth. A boom, an echo, the magnitude of indifference is a dreadfully destructive power because you don't want to see it or to feel it, the truth about how brown women don't matter if they were drugging, putting themselves at risk. They fucking deserved it. It's not about race, you say. Yes, relative, it is. It's about the human race. Because we are all in this, whether you see it or not. We're angry. Yes, her mother swore at the man that we all knew did it. But our ice tears burn harder than our rage. Allies are weeping too because the white part of this interconnected web, like every single cell of our bodies, know too that the honor of one is the honor of all, and the dishonor of one is the dishonor of all. My dishonor, your dishonor, because we are all on that medicine wheel, all part of that living, vibrating web, bonded, all the natural world, all people, even if you don't want to be or feel it. You, a child of this great mother, our father in the sky, our grandfather the sun, our grandmother the moon, and all this can be changed. That avalanche of tears ended. If only we will see there is no them and us, no me and you, brown, black, red, or white, different and beautiful on that medicine wheel together. All of us were from the beginning, and some of our hearts remember this. If any of us, brown, black, red, or white, will not see that we are one and choose to hate, we must change it for all of us. And if we do not, the enemy has won. I have faced the enemy. I have looked deep into their eyes, past love or hate or fear. My relative, the enemy is us. The title of this one is The Only Ecstasy I Have Ever Witnessed, the only prayer that had my soul dance, the only true belly laughs I have ever heard were from copper deep and black-skinned peoples. And this is my love letter to Zimbabwe. Ishikamborera, Zimbabwe. A village distant, a dust cloud, drumming, singing, a funeral, hundreds of people with pangwe, drum and dance, 4 days and nights. I insist on going. In choking red dust, 100 drums pulse and sing through the ground into my bones. My limbs respond by dancing to the intricate rhythm, and I am that rhythm. Recognize it is the same as the insect night orchestra. My spirit is wild, free as I dance with relatives in this red dust that falls on me like rain that comes from the sky and almost but does not block out the heat of the sun. How is it that I know this dance? And the women, just like my grandmothers in ceremonies at home, as these, my black grandmothers, watch me know their dance with my spirit. And this is a piece called When Stars Collide. When stars collide in vacuous, soundless space, is there an explosion of light in the deep black? Do souls aligned on a collision course of love remember they are stardust? Does anyone but the two hear the stillness, the removal of air before the exquisite upheaval? Or is it morphogenetic resonance that carries us past the fear? The bearing of our bones in the sand and sun of parched desert of the battles of our past, the laying bare of our souls, our most terrible wounds, scars, badly knit limbs. What a beautiful, living, moving sculpture we are of marrow, soul, and bone. Moving toward each other, refugees, separated by the war of life. Exquisite chaos, universal, primordial, our joint scream of reunion, of sorrow, of joy. The unfathomable depth of the love, like a mountain it cannot be moved. This gift that stands now here, where there was only grief and unfathomable loss. These moments laid bare in the blowing sands of the desert of our wanting hearts and cooled in the oasis sweet shade of our devotion.